All right. Okay. Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. So this is the big stuff, guys. This is, hey, if I actually could objectively observe my body, what's going on there? All right, so safety in the nervous system, hopefully you kind of recognize nervous system is your body's sensory input output system. Okay, also keep in mind when I use this word safety, if you are not safe, that there also must be an attachment of fear in some way. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through this. All right, so this is what we ended with last time, self-regulation. The ability to respond to ongoing demands with a healthy range of responses. It isn't an automatic conditioned response that you do all the time the same way, no matter what. It is the ability, again, to be able to put the right output with the right input. That allows you, again, to moderate and self-regulate. Okay, ongoing demands. Neither our internal, external environments are fixed, meaning our insides are never the same and our outsides are never the same, if you're willing to pay attention. Now, if you want to believe that they're the same, they're going to be the same. But what's happening in our bodies and what's happening outside of our bodies always is changing. It is dynamic. Okay, what we are looking for then is a smooth, efficient flow of peaks to valleys, this maintenance, right? Nice and subtle and smooth, hanging out in a middle versus extremes. Now, again, if you have self-regulation, if you have these skills and these tools and the application of them, you are able to recover, respond, and explore. Exploring means you are willing to do what you have not done. You are willing to enter into the unfamiliar. Think about that for a second. If you do not explore, if you do not go outside of your safety bubble, all you will be doing is the same. If you are willing to explore, then you open up all these new experiences. Okay. All right, so visual representation of what I was talking about. So this flow state is the maintenance, this green, nice, subtle, wavy, smooth line. Okay, versus the alternative, which is where we have these sharp peaks and valleys and we have these plateaus. So not only do we get there, but we hang out there for a while. And then we hang out there for a while, right? So again, we do not have kind of a steady state or steady perceptive experience. We're always looking at things from these super extreme highs and super extreme lows. And the condition of our internal state will dictate how we view the external state, how we view the world around us. Again, if you're amped and excited, you're going to see the world that way. If you're sad and depressed, that's how you're going to think the world is. So, overarching rule. Those who feel unsafe or disconnected. Again, unsafe is that kind of, could be that anxiety, depression swing, but it could also simply be, again, if you are utilizing your body, if you get to a point in your sets and reps, if that's the kind of person that you do, that your body kind of locks up and pauses, that's unsafe. And it's to recognize that, not to be like, I'll tell you when to be unsafe and push through it. Okay, disconnected is kind of when we are in that zombie land state where we refuse to feel and look at stuff. Again, physically, mentally, socially. So they lack the system and tools for self-regulation. Stress keeps us stuck in a regular pattern. Again, consider how often you are in and out of your room and how often you just kind of get stuck in the rut of the same habits and patterns. Okay, and please note that these patterns could be labeled as beneficial or not, right? It's the guy that goes running when the environment is on fire, right? Even though running is supposed to be a healthy exercise, the fact that they can't adjust that to the larger situation at need could very well be problematic. Okay, we don't have the energy or resources to find another way. That's why we do the familiar things. Our habits are meant to give us a familiarity that doubles as fake autoregulation, right? If I have a conditioned response every time I go up or down, it feels like it's a fake autoregulation. Because again, I don't allow myself to get a little higher. I don't allow myself to get a little lower. I pretend everything's fine. I pretend I have a straight line instead of that natural wavy up and down. Okay, so these are the big three that we all do. We all do, whether you want to regulate it or not. And some of these are more familiar to us than others. When we have fake self-regulation, when we have artificial, we do three things. We disassociate, we distract, and or we discharge. So disassociate, we separate into our own worlds and realities. We see this in our culture. I don't even need to say that anymore, right? Even though we are all sharing the space and time on the planet, there are some that live over here and there are some that live over there, and they don't recognize it's all the same. That's disassociate. If you are a visual that I use with this, I'm actually quite good at dissociating. I do that a lot. For me, it literally feels like I am an astronaut in space floating away from the space station. Literally what it feels like in my body. And it feels calm and safe and warm because I'm by myself there. Okay. We've talked about the second one a lot, and we do it a lot because we have all this Netflix and anime and stuff to fulfill our entertainment needs, but it's distracting. So stimulating through entertainment. Stimulating or calming down through entertainment. Movies, music, games. They're all a form of false reality. When I'm watching something, I am in that reality. If I'm playing a shoot 'em up game, I am in that reality. And you have to consider, what is it about that reality that is intriguing to you? Is it control? Is it relationships? Right? What are the things that we're after? Less of you will probably recognize or utilize this last one, is my guess, but it's discharge. So the release of your pent-up tensions. So this is yelling. This could be kind of, you feel something and you exercise in some way, slamming something, losing it. You could like bawl your eyes out one day, you're fine, and then you just like lose it emotionally. So discharge, right? It's kind of you're keeping all this stuff under and compressed down in this safe box. And there's a point where that box needs to be emptied. Right? You could hit somebody, it could be all this stuff. So that's discharge. So one more time, disassociate, separate into our own bubble, distract, be entertained, discharge, lose it. Let go of all that pent up tension and frustration. Okay. Please notice the last bold sentence. It takes more energy to mask or pretend than it does to exist within the actual feeling. This is what we miss. Right? Again, when we are like, I'm fine, flatline, always the same, everything's great, fine, fine, fine. It takes more energy to kind of force that line or be in the delusion of that line than to simply let yourself be a little happier, a little sadder, a little more energetic, a little more tired. Right? So if you are one of these people that are exhausted all the time, perhaps you're in this realm. Okay? Consider it. Just consider it. Okay. I believe this is the last slide. So how do we get better at feeling safe and or self-regulation? First off, we have to examine the stories we tell ourselves and believe in. Just going to pause there. Not the stories we necessarily watch, right? But the stories about ourselves and our world. Are we able to disbelieve as much as we are to believe? Right? Are those equal? Or are they very distant in our use and application? Big story with this in kind of PE realm of the body is this idea of the athlete and the idea that they need to suffer. And suffering is what's going to get you what you want. And I need to conquer, I need to control, I need to force. Right? That's a story that has been brought to us that we applaud. The underdog, right? But again, is it an actual reality or just one we enjoy? Do we know the difference? 2, observe the environments we exist in. Are they stressful or comforting? Again, not with the fake veil, but with the objective. What is this? If an alien watched this, what would they see? And how is our normalization affected by that? Right? If you live in a very stressful place and you have to live there, you are going to kind of put this veil like, it's okay because you have to live in it. And then you exit it and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Because you got used to a different reality. And does your environment reflect your internal state? Example, I live in a house, basically by myself. I can control what the sound is like, the light is light, right? I maintain it. It is as I want it to be. But if I had a family around me, I would have quote unquote intruders into that space and I'd have to learn to share and compromise. Okay, so stories, environment. Lastly, what is happening internally? Now we did this a little bit with posture and position, right? How does my body hang out when I'm not paying attention? When we are moving, we tend to be in that movement, which is why the rest thing is kind of so important. When your body isn't moving, we have more attention points to look at versus being distracted by the movement. Okay. The other thing is to look at the breath bridge, right? Again, the breathing is that thing that happens automatically and we can change it. It's conscious and unconscious. So if you are feeling kind of amped up, can you look at your breathing? And again, can you slow it down and get it deeper? Will that simple act adjust your state and help self-regulate? On the opposing side, if you're feeling too low and too kind of depleted, if you will, and you have that slow, deep breathing, what if you simply sped it up a little bit and try to spread it out? Could that breathing alone help you feel better? Because that's what we're after, feeling better, right? Lastly, slow down. Keep it slow so you can see and study. Don't force anything, because force is a judgment. I should want to get out of that state. And repeat for numbers and familiarity, but not to check off the box of 2 sets of 12, but to find the feeling in it. So does my 3rd rep feel different than my 1st rep or my 8th rep? And is it okay to just stop when I feel like stopping? Could I actually improve by listening to myself versus that piece of paper? Okay. So before I stop recording, before I stop sharing, any questions? Any of the slides, any of the concepts? Questions do help people watching. Just give you a few seconds to please use your mic if you do. We will save it for the unrecorded chat then. Let me stop sharing. Stop recording.